We're live.
Hello, everybody. And welcome to the dog tonight. Nice of the dog to join in. Nice to see everybody tonight. Yeah, great. So tonight it's going to be slightly different. We've got guests coming back on from last week, which is Graeme.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to talk over the dog, I must admit. But tonight
last week I was laptop, but I'm comfortable sitting around. Right. Brought it down, but the dog just haven't got a quiet.
She's excited. So, tonight is going to be slightly different to previous weeks where we've been going around. I know Graeme's got quite a few questions that he'd like to put to us, which we're all going to answer. And then we've got some other questions that's been put into us. So it's your chance to grill us if you like. So for this point in time, I'm going to throw the floor open to Graeme. So any questions you want to ask us, Graeme, go ahead. And if anybody wants to come with a live comment with a question, we'll get around to that as well.
Right. I'm going back a while ago now. I bought a book called Psychic Powers. I haven't read it all the way through. I just went through the chapters. And there was one of them where I said, obviously, you've got to sit, meditate, quiet, and you've got to try and shift everything from one side of the brain to the other. So you've got, obviously, one side blank, and then the voices start to come through. And it took a while to do that. And when I did get something through, but I don't know whether it scared us or not, but I haven't been able to do it since. I wouldn't manage to do it that once.
Okay. So just say that last bit again, Graeme, because I didn't quite catch that bit.
Right. What I read the book or the chapter that I was reading. That you've got to put everything over from one side of the brain to the other, and meditate, and something will eventually come through. And when it actually happened, it shocked us, and it stopped. And I haven't been able to do it since.
Okay. Right. Glynn, do you want to start answering that one, mate?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, by the sounds of things, this is in terms of spiritual development. So you're right in following that advice that you have got to quieten down the rational side of your brain in order to give and receive spiritual messages. But what I would suggest to you is start by doing some guided meditations, which you can find on YouTube. There's no set one, just go to the one that you're drawn to. But as long as it's a guided meditation, I would say to start off around sort of 20 minutes, no more than 20 minutes meditation. And just to allow yourself to get in that sort of mindset, to relax your mind. And they call it the active part of your mind. They call it the monkey mind. And they call it that because when you quieten yourself, you can hear this chatter. Like you'll get a random thought that comes into your mind, like, oh, I've got to wash the pots. Oh, I've got that ironing to do. Oh, I've got this to do. And the meditation state will help you to get rid of that mind chatter. Okay. Right. Once that mind chatter's calmed down at that point, then you can start and look into the chakra system within the body. Yeah. And there's 7. You've got your base, which is the seat where, your backside where you sit. Then you've got your sexual organs as well. Then you've got your solar plexus. Then you've got your heart chakra. Then you've got your throat chakra. Then you've got your third eye chakra, and then you've got your crown chakra. And so what you want to do, really, in essence, is first connect to Mother Earth through your feet.
Yeah.
And then bring that energy up. And as you're bringing it up, your spiritual body as well as your physical body imagine that each chakra opens up as if many different mediums use different techniques, but you can imagine it's a door. You can imagine each chakra is a flower. So once one's opened up like that, you move on to the next chakra, allow that to open up until you've finally opened them all, until you've opened the crown chakra. When you've done that, imagine a white light connecting up to the universe through the top of your head. And at that point, you will feel like an electric tingle, like a static tingle coming all the way through your body. Now, once you've established that routine, so you do your meditation, open your chakras, connect up, then you can start and say in your mind, like a little prayer, if you like, communicate with God or the God source or Great Spirit, however you term it, but build a dialogue up and set some intentions. So in your case, you're wanting to expand your spiritual awareness. So you would make a prayer saying, that you would like to connect to your spiritual guides in order to expand your spiritual awareness. And then just build upon that. Allow them to come in. It'll be really gentle to start with. But in my experience, when I first started, I would advise you that when you've made that connection to your spirit guide, ask them to leave an energetic marker so you know it's them every time, so you can trust it's them. And what I mean by that is your marker could be, right, you've got to touch me on the left shoulder, so I know it's you, your guide. But with me, my spiritual guide, Tom, he has like a thick set mustache. And so whenever he comes through for me, I can feel this mustache on my face growing. And I know that that's my guide. So once you've established that connection with your guide, then it's a case of doing this on a day-by-day basis and building that trust bond up. It doesn't happen overnight, and it can be frustrating.
I mean, I've been trying it for years and doing it for years.
But a little bit at a time. And again, it's about trusting your emotions, trusting your feelings. And the first step is building that trust bond with your guides and actually communicating with them. I hope that's been of some help there for you, Graeme.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Like I say, Graeme, I've just sort of like Glenn's sort of really gone into it in depth there and gone through every process. I know which we did when we went down to the church there, but I don't get too disheartened if your brain wanders. Because if I can meditate, if I can meditate, anybody can.
Oh yeah.
So
I know when you do like your ghost hunts, like you've got to ground yourself, which is like hit the roots and come up. I mean, I did do a learner class a long time ago, over 2000, 2001. And when I moved out, obviously I haven't gone back. We did meditate, we did go through like readings and things like that.
Yeah.
Which I did which was good.
Yeah. Good. Carly, you got any thoughts on that, mate?
The fact that you've had it happening the first time anyway is obviously really, really good. I just think sometimes, obviously, I haven't got the skill of Glynn or Glenn, but from my personal aspect would be perhaps you're trying a bit too hard as well. So exactly like what they say, just take it nice and steady and then build it up over time, because we always want this kind of connection, these answers immediately. Sometimes it's a lot quicker for others than it is, for other people. So the fact that you have made contact there with your guide is phenomenal for a start. So like what both they say, just take it nice and steady.
I mean, now like I said, when things come through, I'll get shown items and I get shown things like what they're doing or what they used to do. Like before when I went live, that I had an image of a guy fishing, and I had a fish who would always exaggerate, which everyone does. like exaggerate, but we'd always laugh about it. It never happened, but that's what I got through.
Yeah.
He was a stocky guy,
Yeah.
quite tall, silver hair, and that's what I got through.
To be honest, Graeme, this could be an indication from your spirit guide himself. And the fact that he comes forward and he shows you a fish, a big fish and a little fish. Well, fishing is, I suppose you could take that symbolically, is that you're fishing into the spirit world. You're wanting to make that connection with the line. Yeah. And with him showing you a big fish, exaggerating, and small fish, I feel that what he would be saying is that you've got to start off small.
Yeah.
And fish, I would check that animal totem up as well. Fish animal totem meaning, because there's something in that.
Yeah.
And with you saying he was a gentleman, he had white hair, can you see any more of that? You know, if you focus on your third eye,
that's where I do focus, actually, on the third eye. I was fishing off a pier, like sea fishing.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I've just been given a name, and I feel very strongly it is your guide, and it is this same gentleman who's shown himself to you. He's shown me himself in tweed, like rich man's tweed, with like a fisherman's hat.
Yeah.
And he's giving me the first name of James, his middle name of Herbert, and his surname, I'm hearing Thompson.
Right.
So if you can write that down or remember that, or maybe watch this video back.
Yeah, we'll do.
And the next time you're in meditation and you want to start some dialogue off with your spirit guide, he's having a joke now because he's quite a well-to-do man. Yeah. He's saying, tell him he can call me sir. And he's having a joke. No, he says, no, by all means, call me James.
Yeah, that's what I got. I thought he was quite jokingly when he says he's got a big one. Exaggerate. I can see him laugh.
So, start and address him as James. Right. Build that trust bond up with him. And he will start by showing you images, as he already has been doing today. Also, he'll start and come in with, you'll hear his voice in your mind's eye, if you know what I mean, in your head rather than your ears. Yeah. But it will come in really gentle to start with, because he doesn't want to frighten you or put you off.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you can remember that name and do that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Just on a lighter note, Glenn, when you're just talking about that, mate, when you says about big fish or little fish, and I thought cardboard box, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a Bob the Builder fan then as well.
Hey, what? I can fix it. You've got it, Cole.
Is that
that's the first thing that came to my mind. Sorry, Graeme, do you want to ask some more questions, mate?
Yeah. I've heard it more than once that people who are type 1 diabetics are more prone to it.
Right.
And I don't know.
Well, I'm type 2 diabetic.
Right.
But I'm not. That's the first one I've heard about that one.
Yeah.
My first. Sorry, mate.
I've heard it a few times. Yeah. Like people saying that people who have type 1 diabetics are quite prone to it.
Right. I do know some platform mediums who are type 1 diabetic, but my personal belief is that everybody has got some sort of a sixth sense thing. It's just people are tuning in to use it better than the others. Yeah. As regards, people being more prone to it with a medical condition, I don't know on that one. I don't know. I think personally, I don't quite believe that one, but I mean, each to their own. I don't know what anyone else thinks about
I've never heard of that myself personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, to go along with what Glynn said, everyone has the capability and potential to communicate with spirit.
Yeah.
And it's just a case of, like we've discussed earlier, of having that discipline and quietening the mind.
Yeah.
Also, like Glynn says, some people are better at doing that than others. These ailments that sometimes people have, like physical conditions, they can actually it can lead to awaken you spiritually, you know, because you start to have a different outlook on life with having certain ailments that you've got physically. But I mean, also I'm dyslexic as well, and I've heard that most, like you've heard with the dyslexia, I've heard that there is a form of dyslexia with quite a few mediums as well, and people that work with spirits. And speaking as a dyslexic myself, it gives you a different look at the world, and you tend to analyze things a little bit more, but also your brain works slightly different. It sort of sees shapes and colors before it sees sort of information and detail. So maybe in some way that may be helping me to do what I do. I don't know, but I can see, you know, both sides of the argument there.
Yeah.
Graeme?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that answer your question, mate?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Anything else you want to know, mate?
I think we've covered most of it. I know there's a couple of episodes now. I'm going to have to remember them and bring them back.
Right. Okay. I'll tell you what. While you think about, if you remember them, just come back to me then. So I've got back 2 or 3 questions, so we'll go around to people. But if you remember them, then just jump in, mate. Just ask about. Okay, so I'm going to keep it quite a little bit. Sometimes might be a controversial subject. I don't know. But I'll start on this one. It's coming from a friend of mine, and basically put it up. TV ghost programs, are they good or bad for the paranormal world? Carl's smirking. Do you want to start us off on that one, Carl?
Yeah. From an analytical point of view, it makes me very, very skeptical of any paranormal TV program. And when I say any, I do mean any at all, whether it's British or American. Main reason being, we are not there. It is possible to edit out things. So in post-production and pre-production, it's so much easier to get stuff there or get stuff not there. So on the main context of actually being there, almost everything, in my opinion, can be debunked to a certain extent. Now, if we ignore the debunking side of things and look at it based upon the evidence that's presented, there are some good instances of evidence. Some very, very interesting pieces completely. But again, it does boil down to the fact of editing, and because we wasn't there, we cannot factually prove anything. So whilst I do think to a certain extent they are classed as what they are, entertainment, and will probably give an insight to fans on how investigations may take place. In terms of real evidence, I would love to question the actual evidence, because like I say, everything can be edited. And for anyone that's listening, that is me not knocking any company, any group or anything like that. It's just that technically we can debunk everything that has been filmed.
Wow. That's quite an in-depth answer there, mate.
Yeah.
So, Graeme, have you got thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, I was watching a program the other night on TV. I think it was called Ghost Nation. And like you say, editing things. Yes, they can do that. even though they said they saw a manifestation, someone walked past, and it's like, has it been edited? Was it actually somebody, or was it the spirit? It's all what you think of it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like the other one, the British one, which I won't mention. It's at the beginning because of that medium that kept you it and like making it up, and it's I think it's unfair on the actual what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like you say, edit it. When they come out of the room with the camera, they can go back to the studio and they edit it and put something in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's computers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Glenn?
With me, I think originally, I mean, there's one big famous TV show that I'm sure everybody here knows and everybody watching knows that kind of set the scene and started the ball rolling. Now, if we look at it from this perspective, when they started out, there was no sort of initial interest as such in the paranormal. There was no initial interest as such in spiritualism or connecting to the other side. So in one respect, you know, I'm grateful for that show because it's opened a lot of people's minds up to infinite possibilities and also the afterlife. It's got people asking questions about it, and it's sort of like, got the juices flowing a little bit. But one of the things that I've kind of never really liked about these shows is that they always seem to take a negative angle, like a horror angle, really sort of evil angle and all this sort of thing. And even in terms with the artwork and some of the images that they do use, you know, for me, a spirit is a spirit. You know, why can't we celebrate spirit like we celebrate life and see them in a positive manner? And I feel that would also have an impact on the investigations that these shows do as well. And looked at it from a perspective of helping spirits, giving them a voice and helping them on their transition to move forward, as opposed to like badger baiting them, if you like, goading them and upsetting them, you know, in order to do things like as if they were performing in a circus or something of that nature. So that's another thing that I don't particularly like about them. And another thing would be it's the dramatizations that they have. So they'll tell like a previous account what's happened in a particular building or location. And while they're telling that turns into a voiceover, and they do like a visual reenactment with actors and like just, you know, like objects moving, you know, glasses smashing and things like that to correspond with the narration, if you like, of the story. And, you know, that's like it's planting seeds in the viewer's mind straight away. So it's trying to lead them down a certain perspective. Whereas my thing would be, well, why not tell the story without all of that sort of dramatization? Leave it up to the viewer to decide, not trying to enforce these images into the subconscious, ready for the show to start. And I think if it was done in a more sort of helpful manner, you know, like I say, to celebrate life, not just as in the physical body, but also in spirit, and being a mouthpiece for spirit in order to help them on the way. I think the programs, they may not get as many ratings because, you know, a lot of the imagery and that do sell these shows. But in terms of credibility and bringing the evidence forward, like Carl said, I think that would be more sort of rewarding to watch and listen to, you know, as a viewer. So that's my opinions on it.
Yeah, great. I mean, my personal My personal thought, it's like an amalgamation of everybody's. Really, I think is that they did bring this into people's attention and opened up a lot more places for us, say, to investigate than perhaps we would thought of going in the first place. I think we do it properly. I think okay. I'm not going to mention it because we're not plugging them. But I think in the first series, they weren't getting an awful lot, but they were getting genuine stuff. And then the ratings went up, and I think then they felt forced, in a way, to perhaps make things happen a little bit more. I don't know if anybody sort of like agrees with that. Perhaps the first series was the best one.
I suppose in a way it's the ratings, that's what keeps the show on air. So the makers of these shows might have been like worried, concerned that if we don't get a certain quota, that's it. We haven't got a job. We haven't got a show anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so they, no disrespect to the makers of that show.
No.
But, you know, they probably thought, well, we won't have an income. You know, again, with a lot of these shows, it boils down to the bottom line, which is a shame, really, because it should, you know, it should be about evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was on one of them where there were actually a 30 drive, and you can see the rope attached to the guy's waist and then being pulled back. Which really...
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Which really isn't it's just somebody pulling them back. So, you know, it's unfair to the true believers out there.
Yeah, and I think I know exactly where he pulled that rope from as well, because we've investigated that place.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
have you, Glenn?
Yes, we've investigated that. Yeah.
All right.
You could even feel a groove on the stairs where the rope had been. I remember specifically going for it and thinking, right, okay, that's where it was.
Right.
No, although I must admit, I've got to say there's one particular, I'm not going to mention it, this person's ghost stories. I thought that was a pretty good show, actually, because all she did was tell the history of the place and tell the ghost stories connected with it, and then left it up to you to say, do you believe in it? You decide. And to me, I thought that was more entertaining than some of the other programs that come out.
Yeah.
Because she didn't actually try and wrap anything up. She just told the ghost stories connected with it and the history. And I thought that was a good concept, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think there's too many shows, especially in the USA, that focus on demonology and demons and everything's an evil entity, rather than focusing on what we've got, the basic story behind. We look at a good ghost story, we want history. You've got your history, you've got your big event, your death. That's the three things that make up a great ghost story.
Yeah. Although you've just mentioned something there, Carl, just sort of like made me laugh. Just people's opinion, we could do a straw poll. Do you think in hell they sell basements? Because every demon seems to live in one whenever you watch TV programs.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, like a very thin stairs in the basement, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. You know, some sort of mass paedophile or a demon in a basement, every basement there is. So there must be an estate agent somewhere up in hell. I don't know. Yeah. We could put...
Well, you're not going to give an evil entity like the master bedroom, are you? Let's face it.
Well, no. No, he's not. He's not earned that. So yeah, I can see where you're coming from there, not Carl. Any thoughts about the other questions yet, Graeme? Was it?
No.
No. Okay. Someone else wanted to know then. I'm going to sort of like lighten the mood again. Is this could be a bit awkward, really, because it's a family show. what is probably the funniest moment that's actually happened here on Investigations? Because I know we do have a laugh. Can anybody pinpoint any really funny moments that's actually happened to them on Investigations? Does anybody want to start on it?
I haven't done it, but if I get a chance, when I come down to Lincoln, I would like to do one with you.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're more than welcome.
Okay.
You know?
That'd be great, yeah. Yeah, you're welcome to then.
With me, as Glynn has experienced many a time, on all investigations, anything where I'm working with spirit energy or connecting with residual energy, for some reason, it always gives me diabolical wind.
Yeah.
Either end. And so you can be walking up some stairs in like an old castle or wherever, or a jail cell, and before you know it, you can hear one going off, followed by the smell of egg sandwiches. So that always makes me laugh, and it always, to the, I don't know, displeasure of everybody else, it kind of makes them laugh and lightens the mood.
Just make sure I'm in front of you when you do it.
Pardon?
Just make sure I'm in front of you when you do it.
Okay.
Graeme, he doesn't care.
It's got to come out, you know, one way or another, it's going to come out, and it's just the energy moving through. Unfortunately,
that's doing something.
Yeah. It's just a good job I take a spare pair of boxer shorts with me in a bag, isn't it?
Good.
What's the phrase? Glen, church or chapel, let it rattle.
Definitely. If in doubt, let it out. Looks like Carl's going for one. He's lifted a leg up. Yeah, he's done one.
Yeah. No. Shall we ask Carl? I know you've probably not done one yet, but anything that you can remember from Investigations, mate?
Well, I've not done a paranormal passing wind. I can tell you that for now. The ones that I like, to be honest, is when you get your group of you. It's probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, and you get the old paranormal belly rumbling.
Right.
You know, the old gurgling for the food. Just lightens the mood a bit, that's all.
Yeah.
You know, I think really, especially with something like that, get you a bit of laughter, you know, brings up the energy again, and just, you know, sets the tone really, just keeps everybody involved. But I definitely do kind of like a paranormal belly rumble. Can't beat that.
No. Bless you. So, well, I mean, I've had a few things, but I'm going to have to keep it clean. I'm going to you first because I've had to think about things that I could actually broadcast. That's been funny. All the way out me getting kicked off for some reason, banned off Facebook. But I think one of the funniest ones that you remember, and it was completely off the cuff, was at Leicester at the Guildhall. And we've had a couple of things happened there, to be fair. One was with the taxi, but I can't repeat that, otherwise we're going to get kicked off. But on this occasion, I don't know what got into us, but we couldn't resist it. It was about just before we were finishing off, about 3 o'clock in the morning. We were just doing one last vigil in the dungeons. I don't know if anybody's been to the Guildhall at Leicester.
No, never been.
But, right. Well, it's just from the cafe, just go straight through. And they've got mannequins and stuff like that. So basically what it is once you're actually at eye level of the dungeons, is basically pavement level outside. So these drunks came out about 3 o'clock in the morning, and there's one bloke who says, I can hear noises in here. He said, so the other one said to him in a very nice tone, don't be so stupid. He said, no, it is. I can hear noises here. So we just couldn't resist it, and we were tapping and knocking on the window. And you got 3 lads completely drunk out of their head, laid on the pavement in Leicester, having a conversation with his window. and we were absolutely killing ourselves. We were just trying desperately not, and we're making it. Oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that? We were going absolutely nuts, and that it just killed. We were wetting ourselves for about 5-10 minutes afterwards. It's just one of them moments where it just happened. You just couldn't help it. You couldn't resist it. It had to be done, if you like. I just think it did, and they're getting really emotional because they thought they were getting some real genuine paranormal activity, after coming out at the pub. And little did they know, was some bloke from Mansfield banging up window.
I have another story, if I may share it.
Yes, mate, go ahead.
You've just reminded me of it with telling that one that you've just told. Well, this was in a disused asylum hospital in Wales, and I went with another paranormal investigation team. And
I think I know what you're going to say here, mate.
Right, yeah. And anyway, you've got the main hub, the main building, and also out the side of that, you've got some access tunnels where a lot of the heating pipes and electricity cables and that were laid. And these tunnels, they were like little mine shafts, and you could go down them. So we thought, these look interesting. Let's follow where these go. So I think there was 6 of us, all big blokes. We had woolly hats on, we had duffel coats on, we had little torches. Anyway, we goes down these service tunnels, and as we're getting closer and closer to the main building, we could hear talking, and we saw torchlight coming through this exit point that leads into this building. So anyway, we didn't know who it was or anything. So we stood there in the dark, turned our torches off, and waited for these voices. And anyway, I think one of them was in a sort of Liverpool accent, and you could see the torchlight coming through. And next minute we heard him say, "Oh, look what I found. I found a tunnel." Well, this tunnel was leading into where we were, unknown to him. And he was shouting at his mates behind him. He says, "Oh, look at these. I think there's some old bombs. There's some bombs down here on the floor." And what they were, there was like oxygen tank canisters, and he thought they were bombs. So us 6 guys were there in the tunnel, unknowing to him, biting our cheeks, trying not to laugh. He says, "I'm going to have a look at these. I'm going down." So anyway, next minute we hear him shuffling down this tunnel to where we was. And he's inspecting these tanks. Next minute, he turns around with his torch to see 6 of us, 6 big blokes there, standing there like that. He screamed like a girl. We were all laughing. We put his torches on like out of his faces. And all his mates pegged it. They left him for dead, And afterwards, anyway, we said, "Are you all right, mate?" We started talking to him. And apparently there was another investigation team that was from, I think it was Blackpool. And this is after he got himself together because he was shaking, as you would. But, we were laughing about that for ages, all the way home, in fact. We were in the car.
Yeah.
But that was fantastic fun.
Oh, great. That's great. Great story. But I think that just goes to prove that, we do it seriously, but you can have some really funny moments as well, some really light-hearted stuff when it just goes wrong and you just got to laugh about it. But sometimes I think that also helps as well when you do it. I think that just lightens the mood.
Actually,
but on the serious note, you've got to be serious as well. I mean, the laugh can get you all communicating better, properly, and even if you don't know about on the hunt, it kind of brings us together.
Yeah, it does.
a few years ago, I went up to Edinburgh, went down the vaults,
Yeah.
and there was a group of us. It wasn't really ghost hunting; it was just like a tour. And yes, it was dark down there, and there was a few of us in this cavern in this room, and we were all shouting out for this Mr. Boots to come through. And there was a girl standing in the middle of the room. She was standing next to a bloke, and she turned around and she screamed so loud because she didn't see him there.
Right.
And everybody else was around just laughing their heads off because it was funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet she would have done, actually.
Yeah.
Carl, you were going to say something, mate, before Graeme went.
Yeah, actually,
I
was reminded of something. Probably about 7 years ago. It's actually the most funniest one. I was in Ely. I was doing an investigation at Oliver Cromwell's house, and finished off. And unfortunately, a group of kids had been by while I was investigating, kicked my wing mirror off. So that was kind of like swaying as I was driving. So leave Ely to come back to Grantham. So as you know, it's about 2.5 hour drive. This will be about 2 o'clock on Sunday morning. I'm driving slowly through the town just to find my way back onto the motorway. I've got a wing mirror that's like swinging. I see these pair of flashing blue lights behind me, pulling me up. You know, I get out the car. You know, so I get out, and it says, you know, what are you doing around here? Because the PNC'd my car, and says you're from Grantham. So what are you doing around here at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning? So me being completely honest, because I was always brought up to be honest. Yeah, I'm hunting for ghosts at Oliver Cromwell's house. They get out their breathalyzer, make me stand at the side of the car, check me over, and he says, "What have you had to drink tonight, sir?" I says, "A couple of cups of tea." He says, "Right, so when this goes over, we'll take you down the station." I'm like, okay. And his words were, and I still remember this today, "Well, bugger me, it's 0." He says, "I really thought you was over the limit." I was like, "No, I'm not." He said, "So what are you really doing?" I says, "I'm really here." And I opened up my boot with all these Ouija boards in the boot, glasters, divination rods, everything. He was just like, "Oh, I thought you was actually taking the mickey. I'm really sorry." And so they wished me all the best, asked me, you know, exactly what I did and stuff like that. So we stood there for about 15 minutes explaining what all this equipment does. They then taped up my wing mirror for me and says, "Right, we'll escort you back to the motorway." And then that was it.
Fantastic.
You can't beat that, can you?
No.
That's police escort back to the motorway.
That's it.
I'll have to use that. I'll have to use that next time I get stopped.
Yeah, let's face it. Or you could just argue that your eyesight is going and you want to check you could drive okay.
Controversial, especially where Graeme is.
It seems to work. It works.
I've seen cars with seeing just out testing my eyesight, so it's just.
I thought I saw a ghost, but I didn't, so my eyesight's fine.
Well, going to work in the morning sometimes on a temporary basis. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people's eyesight aren't fine. I've got to say that from a personal point of view, looking at some of the driving that's gone back off again. But the other final question that I wanted to know, probably Graeme's probably sort of exempt from this one, unfortunately. But unless you want to have it sort of like, you could probably wing it if you like, Graeme. But what is the top 5 places that we've investigated on a personal level for favourite places? Perhaps Graeme could say what top 5 places you'd like to investigate, maybe, and perhaps that we might be able to help you out with it.
I would like to probably investigate in Lincoln, the old prison.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Can you get that, mate?
Yeah.
The prison in Lincoln, the old one.
Yeah.
Which goes around now. I would like to investigate that, as well as there's a house in Skegness.
Yeah.
That's.
Oh, I think I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not the Skegness Hell House, is it?
I don't know.
It's in Burla Marsh.
Yeah, that'll be the one. That's the controversial one, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, what? Go on, Graeme. Anything else, mate?
Well, those are the only two down there I would like to investigate.
Right.
But anyway, that's open for investigation. I'd just love to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Glynn?
Well, I'll start off with places that I've been before where I enjoyed. Yeah. One of them was Newsham Park Hospital. That was incredible. That delivered. It looked the part. It was huge. It was littered with spirit. Another one of our favourites, well, my favourite is the Galleries of Justice, Nottingham. That always delivers every time. That's fantastic. I did like the East Drive. I wouldn't mind trying that one again. But personally, I like to go to locations that aren't renowned for having spirit activity. And it's just been either private locations that you've been asked to come and attend. I find those a lot more exciting because I like to tune in with my guides and get to the nitty gritty, the meat of the issues they've been having. I find them really exciting. I mean, a lot of the other locations, as you know, they've been on countless TV shows. And so as a medium, I like to turn up to these locations with no idea of what's happened beforehand. And obviously, the high-profile places, like I say, they've been on the TV shows. So you have to try and ignore everything what you've seen on those shows, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, new venues, I mean, that's what I like to explore. Definitely.
I think what we've started doing, though, and mentions to Graeme, because you're going to come on some, is we try and go to places. Yeah, all right, so you get these places where you've heard of. But what we tend to do is get the people, when we're walking around, just to say, you can go here, you can't go there, or that's out of bounds.
Yeah.
So as we know where we're going, but we don't want to know what's actually happened there, because if something happens, then that's evidence for us and probably for them as well.
Yeah.
You have to have a basic walk around and say that's where your emergency exits are or stuff like that, just to familiarise yourself with building. But other than that, we just prefer to go in like that. So I just thought that's how we do it, Graeme.
All right. Well, I kind of get that. You want to go somewhere where no one's been and haven't seen on TV before. So if you do get something through, you can come back and investigate. Well, research what you found.
Yeah. Definitely. Carl?
Definitely Galleries of Justice, Nottingham.
Okay.
Wonderful location. Same for Nottingham as well. The City of Caves. Another fantastic location with massive steeped history. Gainsborough Hall. That's delivered many times for me. And it's somewhere that I think is a beautiful location and really spiritual as well. Definitely Hightown Hall and Smithills in Bolton as well. I think they're really good places to investigate. I think they'd be my five favourite ones of all.
Strangely enough, 3 of them I've not actually been to, mate.
No, I ain't either.
Gainsborough or Smithills and something like that.
Yeah, Gainsborough Hall.
Or Hightown Hall.
Yeah. Smithills is in Bolton.
Yeah. Is that the really old building with the black and white timber?
Yes.
Looks like Tudor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen photographs of it, but I've never actually been in.
Yeah, really beautiful.
Right. All right. That's good to know. Perhaps we could do that at some point.
Be good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as regards myself, there's quite a lot. I would definitely put up there Chillingham Castle. And that was funny afterwards, but not for us, because everyone that night had a personal experience, be it in the chapel, the top area, the dungeons area, everybody had a personal experience that night. I thought that was fantastic. I would have gone back to Chillingham in a heartbeat if they'd not been so greedy with prices. And then we got a letter afterwards from the owner of the castle, saying, "Thank you very much for coming. We hope you enjoyed it, but would you pay for it next time?" I thought, hey, right. Well, we handed X amount of £100 over. We did. No, you didn't pay anything. So as it turned out, somebody had been pocketing that money previously, and I think that sort of like put him off investigating. Now you can go back in, but it's just stupid prices. So I think they want about £1,000 for about 4 hours.
What?
Yeah. So that was like no.
And unfortunately, as well, the way the industry is going with not just British TV shows, but obviously American TV shows as well. Anything that's reportedly haunted, or seen on, this channel, that channel, triples the price straight away.
Yeah. I think it's certainly in the top 5 for me would be the Ancient Ram. It's the only place I was genuinely frightened. Everything. It sounds stupid because everything about that place was wrong, but you didn't want to leave. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. The amount of stuff that we had. You just think, what are you doing, you idiot? You just go. But you wanted to stay just to see what was going to happen next.
Just intrigued by it, by the sounds of things.
Yeah. I'll give the hat trick to the galleries then, because that's all this. We always love that place. So we're bigging the galleries up big time. So when Graeme turns up, nothing will happen. Yeah. I loved as well Mitchell Priory down in Sussex. It wasn't frightening, but the subtleness of what happened, and I told you last week about the door opening and the lavender smell. Yeah, the subtlety of it, the stuff we got was absolutely incredible and immense. I'm going to be slightly greedy now because I'm going to mention a few others actually that could have possibly been in my top 5. I've just thought about these off the top of my head. Again, Mushu, now you mentioned it. A little mention as well for not one that's investigated many times, which is Church Farm Museum at Skegness. Now, we had quite a bit of stuff there. And Carl's smiling, aren't you, mate? At that one.
I love the Church Farm. Really love it.
It's so subtle, but crikey me, it was active. And in fact, we'd actually booked for an investigation again this year, but Chinese decided against it. But two other special mentions, I think I've got to mention because I know somebody does watch this or repeats this. One would be Lep Castle in Ireland, which we got access to. That was an amazing weekend. Not least because I could drink my body weight in Irish beer and whiskey. But also it's a great, fantastic location in the middle of nowhere. And we got some really interesting results. But also a big give a shout out to my friends over in Australia. I went to. I've made friends with them, and they come across each year. Again, the offer's still nice to come on to the show. I did an investigation at Tailem Town in Australia, and we got some really cracking results, particularly with the equipment, which I think Carl would actually appreciate. Not only did we get dragging sounds and banging sounds in the back with the church, but we've got 3 K2 meters, because I took one across with me. We'd actually got 3 K2 meters in front of us, in the front row of the pews, and all 3 of them went off from green to red, green to red, green to red, and then back red to green, and in sequence. And I thought, that is incredible to actually see that, witness it. Yeah, Carl, people could say that you can debunk it, but I'm not sure. It might actually be on YouTube, because if it is, I'll find it and show it you. Because we definitely witnessed that, and I couldn't explain that. I know you sort of really technical guy. How would you explain that?
To be honest, it'd be very, very difficult, because obviously you got your pews there and stuff like that. The only thing it could possibly be is if there was any grating underneath where you had wiring under the grating. That's very, very rare. You don't have that in a lot of the churches. They normally build the wiring around the side. You know, so that is really, really cracking piece of evidence. And to have all 3 going off at once as well. Because obviously they can't physically occupy the same space, so they're all slightly different lengths apart. They would normally all just slightly different, change with the lighting methods, but because it was all off at exactly the same pace. That's really, really good. I can't explain that.
No, that's brilliant. Anybody else got any more questions before we start and see if anything?
Have any of you seen like a manifestation or something move?
I have.
Yeah, I've seen many manifestations. Yeah, I've even seen my own dad as well manifest in my living room, from the waist upwards, and that was a tremendous experience. You know, quite emotional as well. It was split second, but you know the colours were. It was almost. I think I mentioned it the other week. It was almost like a 3D projection. That's how it looked. It was like solid, but it was like still building up.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. All the colours were there. Exact clothes that he used to wear as well. And also I get a lot of spiritual activity in the home that I've probably mentioned on here before. I think you've seen this particular spirit in my house, haven't you, Glynn? It's a young lad. He's about about 8 to 9 years old, and he's dressed a bit similar to how they look in the Oliver Twist film, you know, with the raggedy clothes, like the chimney sweep style of clothes. And he runs up and down my stairs, runs in my daughter's room. He goes all around the house. In fact, I was doing the ironing one day, and how you drift off when you're doing the ironing. And I do this in the kitchen, and I just had this feeling that someone was looking at me through the kitchen door. As I quickly turned my head, I saw Tom, this is the little lad's name. I saw him poke his head round like that, a solid form, as you like, look at me, and then move away. And whenever I see any of these sort of apparitions, I run straight over to where they've been, because spirit will leave an energy trail, and you can feel it in the atmosphere. And I do that just to prove that it's not my eyes playing tricks on me. And so with my other senses, I feel where the energy's just been. So yeah, to answer your question, quite a lot.
Right.
I've seen a full manifestation on an investigation. Well, I've seen a head at the galleries of justice, and that is actually on dictaphone, because you hear me saying, "What's he want?" Because I thought the security guard was actually coming downstairs to join in with us, and we saw a full head, and you just hear me saying, "What's he want? What do you want?" "I'll not be a minute, mate." And I asked him, but there was nobody there. So that was interesting. And then when I was a little boy, I did actually have a conversation with what I thought was a cleaning lady, or like a domestic lady. but it wasn't them because they were downstairs. I'm not going to reveal where it was, because this particular spirit or ghost has actually been seen since they knocked that building down and they've built some flats on it. And somebody's actually seen. I know somebody who used to work in the funeral business, and he's actually seen that same ghost in his flat. So I think that's more of a residual energy.
Yeah.
But with her, I thought I was actually speaking to her when I was ill. So, yeah. Carl, you say you seen something, mate? Or?
Yeah, it was in a Warner hotel, and I won't say which hotel it was, because when it came out, there was very, very funny about people coming over there, because obviously it was a hotel that's still being used. But it was one in Nottinghamshire area, and it was specifically just for like older age people to stay in, so there was no children allowed in. And we saw, myself and the manager saw a young girl in Victorian clothing holding a red balloon at the top of the corridor. He shouted to her, "What are you doing up there?" And with that, she disappeared in front of her eyes. And it was, honest to God, it was like looking at a normal child. You could see her flesh colour, everything.
Fantastic. I think I probably know that location, mate, because there's not many hotels around Nottinghamshire like that.
Yeah.
We could probably work that one out.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Fantastic. Well, guys, we've come up to the hour. And
have we got any questions, mate?
We haven't
any comments.
We've got comments, so I'm going to put them on screen. So we've got one of our regulars, Megan, bless her, watching, saying hi. Hey, everyone.
Hey, Megan.
Hello.
Who else? We've got a Facebook user saying evening all. Let me see if I can tell you who that is. That's Adrian Hicklin. Adrian Hicklin.
Hi, Adrian. How are you doing, mate? Hello, Adrian.
And we've got Megan interacting with us. She's saying, best not pass one Glenn in my house. Right. I think that's when we was talking about the wind.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Megan, you better hope he doesn't.
You'll have to get some Febreze in, just in case. And so we've got Megan again. I always find that when someone comes out with equipment, the spirits hide and has taken hours before to pick stuff up. Okay.
Right. I think that's probably thinking about investigation. When people come around with equipment, perhaps. I know you would mention, Megan, about possibly coming around to your house to investigate. So maybe that's a little clue then that we don't come around with the equipment. Perhaps of interest and just investigate out of interest.
What's she put? I've seen a few. What's that? I've seen a few about Eastfield Drive. That looks good.
Probably East Drive. Yeah.
I think it was
a black month. And some children there.
Monk. I think she meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she meant. Yeah, she's put monk.
Oh, monk.
Monk. Yeah, it is a great location, though, isn't it? The East Drive.
Yeah. It's one of them places where it makes sense. The fewer people that go, the better it is. When we were there, if I remember right, Glenn, there was me, you, and then there's about 3 others. So there were about 4 or 5 in there, and we were actually getting stuff before the rest of the crew arrived. It just before I did my swan dive in the middle of the room.
That was legendary.
And it was legendary, wasn't it? Yeah. Before I did that, then we were getting stuff going off. Downstairs when we were upstairs, and then upstairs when we were downstairs. So I think it's kind of a mischievous spirit in there. So definitely kids in there, and then definitely that the EVP of the choking sound, which was very, very creepy, and that is actually backed up by evidence of what actually happened there.
What about the moving of equipment, hiding of equipment.
Yes, the hiding of equipment. There was actually like a dictaphone that was left in the lounge, and the following morning it was actually in the coal shed. So I don't know. And then we turned the lights out. If you read the book about the house, that was actually one of the shows. Oh, well, evening.
Evening all. Yeah, so we're coming to the end now.
A film called So it's a really interesting story. But then she said the following morning, I thought you'd turn the lights off for us, when we all knew I had to turn the lights off. But the lights were on the following morning. So great location to investigate. So, but we're going to wrap this up now. So thanks for everybody for joining us, and take care of yourselves. Hope to see you all next week. And thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Carl. Thanks, Graeme, for coming on. Really appreciate it. We couldn't do it without you. And take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.